Hi, my name is Kathryna Reiz.
My name is Alexandria Deleon.
And I'm Barbarella Castillo, and we're going to talk about our final project on environmental resilience. So, our problem statement for this project is to design and implement a secure access control framework for IoT-based environmental monitoring using a proof of concept RBAC system to manage smart sensor data access. Why? So the problem is the IoT-based environmental monitoring systems often lack secure access control, allowing unrestricted access to sensor data, and this exposes sensitive environmental data to misuse and reduces data integrity and increases the risk of system errors due to unauthorized access. So our goal in this project is to develop a secure role-based access control a framework on Things Board Cloud that limits sensor data access and system interaction based on user roles, ensuring data protection, integrity, and role appropriate functionality. Our proposed solution has some key features, which is the role-based access control framework. We implemented a secure RBAC model on ThingsBoard Cloud to manage access to virtual water quality sensors, and each user is assigned a role that strictly governs what data they can view, edit, or submit. Our custom dashboards per role separate dashboards that were designed for each user type, ensuring that users only see the tools and data relevant to their responsibilities. We have front-end and back-end role validation to ensure functionality that's limited per role. We tested user access through both the UI and the back-end with Python scripts that are validated at API level restrictions and user login sessions that were used to verify dashboard visibility and widget controls. We have a standard-based design which is designed according to the core NIST RBAC standards, aligning with the best practices for IoT security and access control in environmental monitoring contexts. The benefits and impacts of this project would be on the environmental side, we'd enable accurate monitoring of key environment quality metrics, which support early detection of pollution and improve ecosystem protection. This helps conservation and research teams respond more quickly and confidently to environmental hazards by ensuring clean, role-specific access to data. On the tech side, we implement a scalable standards-based RBAC model for IoT platforms that can extend to real sensors or smart cities. This reduces the risk of unauthorized device control or data tampering by enforcing strict access boundaries between user roles. And in the social aspect, we protect sensitive environmental data while still enabling transparency for the public and policy stakeholders, and improve collaboration across diverse user groups without compromising system security. For our literature review, the role-based access control restricts access based on user roles and responsibilities, improving security and data integrity. Our core RBAC was chosen over more complex models for its simplicity and scalability in IoT systems like ThingsBoard Cloud. The NIST and IBM highlight RBAC as a standard for managing access in sensitive data environments. Research supports RBAC as an effective method for securing IoT devices and environmental data networks. Our roles of admin, analyst, researcher, public, IP reflect real world responsibilities in water quality research and monitoring. The roles-based access table is as follows. The general IP, the field researcher, data analyst, administrator, and public viewer, each with its own task and activity and permissions.
So I will now be talking about the methodology we used, like what platform, what tools we used. So the main platform we used was ThingsBoard. This platform allowed us to create multiple dashboards for the different roles and have access to widgets that would help display and manage water quality data. It also presented a way to arrange roles and assign different dashboards to each of them. We made the roles by creating a customer for each of them and then making a personalized user for each customer. This allowed us to assign each user different access and it allowed us to see how the platform looked from their perspective. And I will go into more detail into this when the video is showed. So as you can see, the dashboards were created in the group tab, and this just shows how we were able to edit each dashboard and add the widgets. Um, yeah, those are all the widgets that we could have added. We just added these. And then we created a dashboard for each role we wanted. And this shows the customers. This shows how we could have added a customer. So those are the customers that you added. And its details. Okay, and then this shows how we're able to share each dashboard with each of the customers that we created. So we can decide which customer we want to be with each dashboard. And as you can see, it shows that the customer is able to access that dashboard when I click through each one. And now with the customers, I can click on it and it shows its details. And then I can add a user with the customer. This is how I added the users. And then here's showing the details of how I added the specific dashboard for each user. Yeah. This shows how I added the dashboard for the analyst and how I added the two dashboards because there are two dashboards for this one. And we're just going through them all. This one had the inputs water quality dashboard. I didn't need to add a home dashboard there because they only need one of them. And this is showing the dashboard I added for the IP user, the general IP. Yeah, and this shows all the users that were created in all, showing that you can click on their login and are able to view what their perspective is when they log in, what they're able to access, all of that. So as you can see, they're only able to access the dashboards we assign to them. And that is the first video. Next, I'm going to discuss some of the backend coding. So for the devices on ThingsBoard to receive data, we used a pre-existing CSV file that had data for the devices we wanted to use. After adding the devices on ThingsBoard, we coded the ThingsBoard devices receiving that data by using access tokens that are provided for each device and by adding code that creates a separate JSON payload for each parameter and sends it to the corresponding ThingsBoard URL. So with the next video, I'll show you how that is shown in ThingsBoard, how the data appears. So this is how the dashboard starts out. This is the code showing the API connections and how it sends the data on ThingsBoard with the tokens. And then once I run the code, you can see how the data starts appearing on all of the devices listed. So as you can see, the graphs have data now, and it seems like it's working. So yeah, that's basically the second video.
Okay, and now moving on to our results. For the front end, for the results, there were two different ways that we were able to validate how role permissions were going to be maintained. And the first way was through the front end to log in as the customer and verify that they could only see the appropriate dashboard that corresponded to their role. So here I'm going to show you what it looks like when you log in as each customer. This is for the water quality dashboard. And this general IP customer should only be able to see the IT operations dashboard. And here he's able to manipulate the data that corresponds to his responsibilities. Following that, we have another analyst who is able to see the devices and the information that is provided through those devices. As well as the field researcher who should only have access to, who should have access to more environmental correspondence, being able to input the water quality data and place markers on the map. And finally, the tenant administrator dashboard, which we have the ability here to manipulate everything ranging from what roles are assigned, the customers that are being added, what devices and entities we want to group into what dashboard, and so on and so forth. And so for the second part of our results, we also wanted to validate our role permissions through the backend by making calls to our ThingsBoard Cloud platform by using the Python REST API. So here I'm just going into the code. We have a set of variables, global variables in Python that are going to store each role, each device, and each dashboard that was created. And I'm also grabbing the access ID so that we can make the appropriate API call to the devices that you saw in our previous videos. The utilities just make sure that the customer that I'm using is able to log in. And then I created a bunch of methods that are able to test whether a user can access the telemetry on a device, post it, send alerts, and view corresponding dashboards. And then obviously in the driver code, you have you're going to be able to push all those methods to see whether they work for each and every device. So here you can see that we're making the call to ThingsBoard Cloud to see in the backend if we're logged in as a specific user, whether they can access a device. Sometimes we actually want the user to be able to fail to see the specific device or the dashboard that we're looping through because we don't want them to have access to it. It would be a breach of security if, for example, a field researcher was able to download a report or send an alert when he shouldn't be able to be doing that. And so here we're just making sure that everything is corresponding the way that it should be. And after we've generated the full report, we can actually test to see whether the role has the appropriate permissions to view the dashboard or access any telemetry data. So some of the limitations using ThingsBoard Cloud Edition meant that our RBAC framework is probably better suited for very simple use cases like environment monitoring research groups, nonprofit organizations, or small businesses that are looking for a cost-effective start to security and role management systems. And here is our works cited. And that